Jesse Colin Young's voice defined a generation, but his influence stretched far beyond the golden era of folk rock. As the frontman of the Youngbloods, his smooth yet powerful vocals turned Get Together into one of the most iconic anthems of the 1960s, a song that still resonates today. But Young wasn't just a voice. He was a storyteller, a poet, and a musician whose career spanned more than 5 decades, shaping the sound of American folk, rock, and jazz. Now, as the music world mourns his passing, we look back at his remarkable journey, from a Greenwich Village folk singer to an icon whose message of unity and love continues to inspire. Few songs have captured the spirit of an era quite like Get Together. When Jesse Colin Young's unmistakable voice soared over the Youngbloods' 1967 recording, it wasn't just another folk rock track. It was a call to unity, a rallying cry for peace, and an anthem that defined the counterculture movement. The song, originally written by Chet Powers, aka Dino Valenti, had been recorded by other artists before, but it wasn't until Young and the Youngbloods infused it with their signature warmth and sincerity that it truly found its place in history. At first, Get Together didn't make much of a commercial impact, but then, in 1969, a single moment changed everything. The National Conference of Christians and Jews used the song in a public service announcement promoting unity and tolerance. Suddenly, the message resonated like never before. Radio stations across the country started playing it again, and this time, it skyrocketed to the top 5 on the Billboard charts. It became more than just a song. It became a soundtrack to a generation longing for change, a musical protest against war, division, and hate. But Get Together wasn't just about the moment. It became timeless. Decades later, it continued to surface in cultural moments, from political movements to Hollywood films. A reminder that its message, "Smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now," is as urgent today as it was in the late 60s. And at the heart of it all was Jesse Colin Young's soulful, aching vocals, turning simple words into something transcendent. For Young, the success of Get Together was never just about charts or sales. It was about connection. He spent his career carrying that message forward, always seeking to create music that brought people together. And though he recorded countless other songs throughout his career, this one will always be the anthem that cemented his place in musical history. Jesse Colin Young could have easily rested on the success of Get Together, forever riding the wave of its impact. But instead, he did something that set him apart. He evolved. Rather than staying locked in the folk rock sound that made the Youngbloods famous, Young took his music on an unexpected journey, blending elements of jazz, blues, country, and even reggae into a solo career that pushed boundaries and defied expectations. After the Youngbloods disbanded in 1972, Young embarked on a solo path that was both deeply personal and artistically fearless. His early solo albums, like Song for Julie, 1973, showcased his love for rich instrumentation and lyrical storytelling. He layered horns, piano, and intricate acoustic melodies over songs that ranged from intimate reflections to sweeping atmospheric pieces. The album became a breakthrough, not only proving that Young could stand on his own, but that he had something new to say, and a unique way of saying it. As the years went on, Young refused to be confined to one genre. He dabbled in roots rock, world music, and even electric jazz fusion, always following his own creative instincts rather than industry trends. He wasn't interested in making music that simply fit into a commercial mold. He was creating something authentic, experimental, and emotionally raw. While some of his later albums didn't reach the mainstream heights of Get Together, they cemented his reputation as an artist's artist, someone whose work influenced generations of folk and rock musicians. Young's evolution wasn't just about sound. It was about depth. His lyrics became more introspective, touching on love, loss, spirituality, and social justice. Whether he was reflecting on his own life or commenting on the world around him, his music remained deeply human, deeply moving. By the time the 2000s rolled around, Young's legacy was firmly established, but he wasn't done. Even after battling serious health challenges, he continued to write, record, and perform. Because for Jesse Colin Young, music was never just a career. It was a lifelong journey. Jesse Colin Young's impact on music goes far beyond his most famous songs. While Get Together became an anthem of the 1960s, his career was filled with hidden gems, unexpected collaborations, and moments that shaped folk, rock, and jazz in ways many don't even realize. Behind the scenes, Young was not just a performer. He was a bridge between musical worlds, blending genres, and bringing together artists whose sounds might never have collided otherwise. One of his most overlooked contributions was his ability to merge folk and jazz in a way that felt effortless. At a time when most folk singers stuck to simple acoustic arrangements, Young layered his music with rich instrumentation, horns, pianos, and even reggae rhythms, giving his songs a depth that set him apart from other singer-songwriters of his generation. Albums like Song for Julie and Lightshine showcased his ability to experiment without losing the warmth and sincerity that made his music so powerful. Beyond his own work, Young's influence stretched across generations of artists. He was a key figure in the early 70s California folk rock movement, inspiring artists like Jackson Browne and Bonnie Raitt. His collaborations were just as impressive. He performed alongside legends like Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills and Nash, proving that his artistry was respected by the very best. But perhaps one of the most surprising aspects of his influence? His role in elevating social consciousness through music. Young wasn't just about melodies and harmonies. He believed music could ignite change. Whether it was supporting environmental causes, advocating for peace, or using his platform to bring attention to issues like Vietnam War protests and indigenous rights, Young carried the spirit of the 60s into every phase of his career. Though mainstream audiences may remember him best for Get Together, true music lovers know that Jesse Colin Young's legacy is woven into the DNA of folk rock itself. He was more than just a voice. He was a movement. Jesse Colin Young never stopped making music, but his later years were marked by both incredible challenges and inspiring resilience. After decades of performing, recording, and shaping folk rock history, Young faced a battle that nearly ended his career altogether. A long and mysterious illness that left him unable to sing, perform, or even live the life he once knew. For years, Young struggled with worsening health issues that doctors couldn't fully diagnose. His energy was depleted, his voice weakened, and the man who once filled concert halls with soaring melodies found himself unable to do the very thing that defined him. It wasn't until decades later that doctors finally discovered the cause: Lyme disease, a diagnosis that explained his years of debilitating symptoms. By the time he received proper treatment, Young had already spent years away from the stage, uncertain if he'd ever perform again. But Jesse Colin Young wasn't done yet. After a long recovery, he did something remarkable. He came back. In 2019, at the age of 77, Young released Dreamers, his first studio album in 13 years. And it wasn't just a return. It was a statement. The album blended the folk storytelling he was known for with jazz and world influences, proving that even after all these years, his creativity hadn't faded. It was a testament to both his artistry and his unbreakable spirit. Even in his later years, Young continued to perform whenever he could, connecting with old and new audiences alike. He embraced mentorship, passing down his musical wisdom to younger generations, ensuring that his influence wouldn't just be something of the past, it would continue shaping the future. And through it all, his message of unity, peace, and love never wavered. Though Jesse Colin Young's journey has come to an end, his voice will never fade. His songs continue to resonate across generations, a reminder that music, real, heartfelt music, never truly dies. Jesse Colin Young's music wasn't just about melody, it was about meaning. In an era where music was often used as a force for change, he stood at the forefront, delivering messages of peace, unity, and resilience. But what makes his legacy truly timeless is that his songs are just as relevant today as they were in the 1960s. Decades may have passed, but the themes he championed, love over division, hope over fear, and togetherness over conflict, are still needed now more than ever. In a world that often feels increasingly divided, Get Together remains an anthem for those searching for something better. It's been covered by countless artists, featured in films and commercials, and still finds its way into social movements and cultural moments that demand change. His influence extends beyond just one song. His entire career was built on the idea that music should bring people together, not push them apart. Beyond the airwaves, Young's impact can be seen in the folk and rock artists he inspired. His willingness to fuse genres, to experiment with sound, and to tell deeply personal stories through song paved the way for countless singer-songwriters who followed in his footsteps. From indie folk artists to rock legends, his fingerprints are all over the modern music landscape. But perhaps the most powerful testament to his legacy is this: Jesse Colin Young didn't just make music. He made people feel something. His songs weren't about trends or fame. They were about connection. And as long as there are people who believe in the power of music to heal, unite, and inspire, his voice will never fade. Jesse Colin Young's story isn't just history. It's a lesson. A reminder that music can change the world, one song at a time.